I was doing a Akashic reading for a client earlier, and they were saying that they felt very stuck in their life in all different areas. And I said, okay, your higher self wants me to tell you that sometimes when we're feeling very stuck and stagnant for a very long time, we start to realize why we're stuck and stagnant. Like maybe we're doing things that are not in alignment with our soul or our higher self, that new identity that we're shifting into. And that can be relationships, behavioral patterns, jobs, anything that is not serving your highest alignment. Then one day you realize that you have been in a very constricted box of reality and you haven't been really living up to your full capabilities because of either self-confidence, self-worth, your self-concept, whole assortment of things. And you're like, oh dang, I have been doing this to myself, and not from a place of shameful and guiltiness, because you only know what you know when you know it. But then you start to reach this level of self-awareness and you start to look around and you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. We have to shift. Then what happens is you try and overhaul your whole entire life, and you get overwhelmed and overstimulated, and then you're like, bump all this noise, and then you're like, it didn't work, and now we're back to ground zero and we're regurgitating the same lesson over again. And I was like, this time your higher self was like, how about we take a breath and take a pause and congratulate ourselves for the amazing work that we have done to get ourselves to where we are right now. Because it takes an immense amount of energy and self-awareness to be able to get to a level where you can see your behavioral patterns and your triggers and the things that don't serve you. Self-awareness is key, and that is the first step. Now, if we try and shame and guilt ourselves into saying like, oh no, all of this is a hot mess and I did this, that's not serving anybody. You take action steps from fear and anxiety and shame and guilt, you will get those type of results. And so their higher self was saying, how about we celebrate how amazing we are and how much we love ourselves and how much we're ready to grow and evolve and expand. And this is going to be our springboard, our trampoline moment to go into our next chapter of our life. It's okay to take rest for a minute. We know all the things that we need to change. We're aware. Let's recharge our energy and our battery before we try and take all those action steps. Because one, you're probably already burnt out from all the shadow work you just did. But it's okay to be okay with where you're at right now. It's coming from unity consciousness and self-love and a good self-concept. And I was explaining that sometimes we jump to shame and guilt to be the fuel because you might have needed that in the past. Like when you were a lot younger and you were kind of just sweeping everything under the rug and not doing shadow work, or up leveling your life, and you needed shame and guilt to kick your butt into gear. But you already have the tools, babe. Like, you already have the tools and resources. I know you're sitting over here in analytical overthinking land about yourself all the time, saying like, oh, am I enough high vibe, high frequency? Am I taking care of myself? You need to stop kicking yourself with shame and guilt, and instead be pouring your cup in with self-love and self-care and compassion and grace, so that you can stand strong in your divinity and say, yeah, there are some things that I could probably adjust in my life, but I'm not going to do that from shame and guilt. I'm going to do it from love. And that is actually how you make the shifts. And I wanted to share this with you because a lot of people are going through that right now in the collective, where they kicked out of their constrictive boxes and now they're seeing where they need to make shifts. And I want you to really sit in thankfulness and gratefulness for yourself before you start trying to take all those major action steps.